some study work that was done by Booking.com. Now, this company is behind a whole host of well-known online travel brands, and they have found upwards of 72% of travelers are feeling more hopeful about traveling in 2021. Glenn Fogel is the president and CEO of Booking Holdings and of Booking.com, and he joins us to talk a little bit more about sentiment within the tourism industry. Glenn, welcome back. Nice to have you with us.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
As I was saying, I mean, it's this unique period in the pandemic, and Canada trailing the United States to a certain degree in the rollout of vaccines, but it just feels like people, even with these record cases that we are seeing, are a little frustrated and they want to get back to living their life. When you talk to potential customers and travelers, what are you hearing from them?
Well, there is just an incredible pent-up demand. It's almost a fire hose of demand that's going to come out as soon as people feel it's safe to travel and as governments allow people to travel. Obviously, it differs depending on what part of the world you're in. In Canada, the rates, are unfortunately have gone up a lot, and that is unfortunate. But I think everybody's feeling hopeful that the vaccines will begin to be rolled out even faster. I mean, almost 20% of the people having a first dose. That's not bad when you compare it around the world. And people know that it's going to go faster soon, and they expect to be able to travel in the not so distant future.
As a global operator, your sites are visited around the world. I wonder what you make of this, for lack of a better word, FOMO. People go on social media, especially in this country. They might see certain pockets of the United States where vaccines have been extensively rolled out and people are maybe getting on a plane or they're going somewhere. There is a certain level of frustration that I think builds up within people, even though the reality is getting the COVID spread under control is the priority right now. I mean, as a business owner, how do you navigate that? The fact that different countries are at different points in the pandemic?
Well, you're right, John, and there is a difference depending on what part of the world you're in. And in the U.S., it's very unique in the sense that there's still very high rates of infection in certain parts, but the majority of the people, they just don't care. They want to travel, and they are traveling. Other parts of the world, Europe, for example, people are feeling very frustrated because the rollout's been so slow, and people are seeing other parts of the world where people are opening up, and they want it too. For us, we're always just trying to be helpful. Make sure that we let people know where are places that you need to be concerned about safety and other places where it's more open. Making sure that all the rules are clearly shown in terms of how you can book, where you can book, and making sure that people are aware that everything on our site is freely cancelable. Give people confidence. You can book now for a trip in the summer, and if things don't work out, you can cancel and it's free, giving them an assurance that get your stuff set up so that if things are open, you can travel.
Yeah, I think that's maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that. I think some people, especially in a market like Canada, they would love to get things squared away on the travel front. They certainly don't want to have to book something down the road when, maybe pricing is a little higher or demand is less available to them. But I guess they are maybe a little concerned about, well, I booked something, what's the possibility that, the airline says that flight's not available? What would be your advice to people who are trying to work through those dynamics right now?
So what I'm saying to people, and no matter where you are, Canada, the U.S., around the world, book the travel now. Make sure you understand the terms and conditions. Make sure it is cancelable at either no cost or low cost so that you have it. Prices are definitely rising in different parts of the world because demand is coming up, and you want to be able to get that vacation holiday set up, particularly in areas where there may be a shortage of flight seats. In the U.S., for example, it would not surprise me if this summer in the U.S. there is a shortage of seats on planes because demand is coming up so fast, and it takes time to get planes out of the desert and back operational. Now, one of the things I think that people should always be careful about is insurance, travel insurance. If you can get that, if you get that, look at the terms very carefully. But one of the things that we also know is that, unfortunately, international travel is going to be hard for a lot of people. So people in Canada who want to come to the U.S., it may be more difficult this summer than it has been, obviously, in the past. But there's so many great things to go in Canada. I mean, I spent a lot of time traveling in Canada. I biked from Banff up to Jasper, I've been, Toronto, I've been in Calgary, I've been in Winnipeg, I've been in Vancouver. There are so many great places within Canada, so you won't have to worry about what the international travel situation is. You can have a great holiday this summer in Canada.
Glenn, before I let you go, it's interesting. You joined us fairly early on during the pandemic, and we were talking about ways to, once it was safe to travel, to help the industry. It's very clear that the industry has been one of the most challenged, to say the least, during this pandemic. You talked about credits, for example, to get people traveling again. Well, here we are. It's April 2021. We still haven't had any formal announcement on, an airline aid package from the federal government, let alone having a sort of open conversation around some of those possibilities, credits, whatever it may be. As an industry leader, what is your reaction to that?
Well, it's disappointing that some governments around the world have not put together plans that, as things get safer, to be ready to put money to work to get the industry up and running fast. Other parts of the world, it is happening. And we've worked with the Japanese government, and we've had credits there to get travel going there in the past. We've worked with the government of Thailand. It's worked there. There are other parts of the world that governments are working very closely to come up with plans to put money to work, albeit credits directly to a traveler or other ways to help support the industry. I mean, this industry has been hurt more than almost any other industry. The number of unemployment in this industry is horrible. So anything the governments could do, put money to work. People want to travel. We all know that, but we need to have a little bit more money into the area to really get it going consistently.